Hey everyone, what's up? It's Scorpius and welcome back to another update and news on Path of Exile 2. There's a massive patch that GGG is cooking, the 0.2.1, and just like we always do, we're here to cover the entirety of the patch notes without skipping anything in the simplest form that we can. This patch is gonna launch either next week or the week after that. So first big topic is the loot and rewards changes. Not only are they going to increase the drop rate of the rare uniques, they will also buff the older chase uniques because they were underperforming. New chase uniques are also going to be added to the game mid-league. I know it's crazy, but it's exciting to see what they're going to put in the game. And they said that they're going to reveal what those uniques are, a few of them, not all of them, within the next couple of days. Next thing that they're doing is they're adding more Socketables. So we're going to have 22 new runes, 14 new soul cores, and 7 new talismans. They said that all of these Socketables are designed to replace the early game resistance and attributes with end game power. Looking forward to see what they're going to bring and how those new pieces plus the uniques are going to actually affect our builds right now. Next, we've got rituals. Rare omens are now much more likely to appear. The same omens, they haven't added new ones, but they're going to be more frequent. Like omens of whittling, for example. We're going to be able to find them more often. Obviously, it's going to drop in price, but oh well, it is there. We can start crafting a little bit more. Next, we've got essences. Corrupted essences from Val orbs will now be 6 times more common. Rogue exiles, the same. The uniques that they drop is going to be 3 times more frequent, which is cool as well. And then we've got a bunch of changes on the Twisting Domain content. Twisting Domain, for anybody who doesn't know, is where you find Zesht, the boss, the breach boss. That area before the boss, that's a Twisted Domain. So they're saying they're going to add more rare monsters in there, which if they add more rare monsters, that means we're going to get more loot, which is the second pointer. Increase item quantity rarity before the boss. Guaranteed rare breach rings drop as well. So when you finish with all the bats and all the rares and everything just before you fight Zesht, they're promising that now you're going to get more and more valuable loot before you fight the boss. Moving forward, we've got Expedition Logbooks Overhaul. It was about time for them to see and calculate what's working, what's not working. So the general changes that they're doing here is they're going to add more monsters overall, especially in high-level logbooks, and the explosives are going to have increased range and spacing, which is going to make it a little bit easier to get things done. The Lush Isle, we're going to have more XP totems. We're going to have more fenced-off reward areas so we can get extra juicy stuff and more currency. And lastly, we've got the pustules now cause unearthed monsters to spawn corruption monsters on death, which is going to spawn even more. They're going to give you more XP, so it just generically makes Lush Island even better with more totems and more rewards in general. Next, we've got the Frigid Bluffs. Val bosses are now added instead of only Val monsters and Val minions. Now we're going to be able to find Val bosses for that potential extra loot. Val remnants rework to have multiple upsides and downsides. Super remnants is what they're calling them, so pretty exciting to see that in action. And then we've got Barren Atoll. Crates drop much more gold. I think they quoted like something like 2 or 3 times more. We're going to be able to find 10 times more strong boxes, including uniques as well. And Enzymite runes now drop 2 to 4 additional runes. All of these in the Barren Atoll. And the last change that they did with the logbooks, all areas special logbook features can now be found on the minimap, so we can be able to plan ahead what the explosions are going to be and where we're going to place them. So pretty cool changes for the expedition. I am really happy to see the expeditions becoming a little bit more relevant. Not that they're not good. With this overhaul, I think it's going to become 10 times better. So try out Expedition whenever this patch hits. Next up, we've got some pretty big changes in the overall endgame variety and the balance section of the endgame. For example, map variety, they said that they were running a couple of tests. They gave some pretty crazy numbers. Like, did you guys know that 300,000 times that you're going to run maps, probably 50% of those are going to be hidden grotto, which is overrepresented. So they're going to normalize the map generation, which is good, which means that we're not going to be running the same maps over and over again. Here's an amazing change for the citadels. Let's say you're pathing in a straight line and you get to see the first citadel in the Fog of War. Now, immediately, it's going to spawn the other 2 citadels that you need for all 3 fragments, and they're going to be actually close by so you can be able to do all of them. Then we've got a couple of changes on the rituals and the mods. Chaos Balls and the Volatile Plants, everybody's two favorite things to run in the rituals, have been toned down. They clarified that Volatile Plants are now going to be better telegraphed. Then we've got dangerous map mods like Elemental Penetration has been nerfed. Omens in Viridian, Wildwood, the unique map, have been buffed and more visible. Curse map mods on your Waystones are reworked for counterplay. Clasped hands in the breaches are easier to open. I think they just extended the area of where you need to be so you can open up, which is good. That means that you don't need to stand right on top of the hand. And lastly, we've got the Twisted Domain. Once again, the bats reduced in pack size. So they're reducing the pack size of the bats and they're increasing the rares of the Twisted Domain, which is going to result with less stuff to do in the Twisted Domain and more loot at the end. Next, we've got some pretty big changes with the Trial of Socketables. The no energy shield affliction, that is one of the worst nightmares for anybody who's running CI, Chaos Inoculation, has been officially changed to half energy shield instead of no energy shield. That way they give us some leeway to try and finish up the run. So good stuff there. And the last one here for Trial of Socketables is fixed for overrepresented boons and afflictions. They didn't specify which ones, but they reported that specifically one affliction, 2 minor boons, 1 major boon, and 1 pact were 100 times more common than anything else, and they actually fixed that so you can be able to balance through all of those things equally. And the last topic that we have here for this patch is quality of life in UI. This is one of the biggest ones in this patch. Absolutely love this first change. The passive tree search. Whenever now you're adding something and you're trying to look for an anointment option for yourself, or you're trying to find a specific thing within your passive tree, you just type it, you enter, and now it will immediately take you there. It's gonna make the background darker so you can be able to see which one is highlighted, but it's actually gonna take you to that node. So for example, if you're looking for overwhelming strike and you don't know what kind of emotions you need so you can anoint it, you just type in overwhelming, you hit enter, it's going to take you there. If there are 2 or 3 different options with that same phrase that you added there, you can just keep on pressing enter and it's going to cycle through them. Pretty significant change and an amazing quality of life right here. Next one is the item mod display, and this one can cause a little bit of confusion, especially if you haven't played PoE 1. What it says is tier X, for example, tier 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the case is, of your modifiers of your items will now be displayed reverted to PoE 1 style for faster assessment. The way that they said it, and I quote, "A huge request has been that we revert the display of tier X on items when using advanced item display. This is so that you can immediately identify if a modifier is the best it can be on an item. This is more for advanced and endgame players, but it's very important to be able to quickly assess the true power of an item or if it's an appropriate crafting base. We're swapping this back to work the same way as Path of Exile 1. Now, I have an issue with this comment, a slight issue here. It's not a big deal. I think I understand what they're saying, but I want to explain it for anybody who hasn't played Path of Exile 1. I believe, first of all, it's a little bit confusing quoting PoE 1, expecting that everybody's going to understand what it means to go back to how it used to be. So number one, what it could mean is that they're actually doing a descending order whenever you press Alt, let's say, to see what kind of tiers you have on your modifiers on your item. Whenever you press that and it shows you the tiers, now it's going to be in descending order so you can see which one is the worst very quick and which one is the best very quick. That's one thought that I have. But since I've played PoE 1, I think I know what they mean here is they're going to completely change the order of which one is the best tier. Now, right now, tier 1 is the worst tier that you can roll your modifier, and tier 10, 11 is the best one. So what this could mean is that in Path of Exile 1, it was the other way around. If you have a tier 11, it's a bad mod. If you have a tier 1, is the best that it can get. So it could mean any of those two. I'm leaning more towards the second one. I think that's what everybody from PoE 1 wanted it to happen. I don't know if it's going to be a good call or not. I just wanted to explain it to you guys because I'm pretty sure that anyone who hasn't played PoE 1 is not going to understand this and therefore misunderstand. But to be honest, I think it's a little bit of a misleading way of explaining it, expecting that everybody knows what you're talking about. So that's why I posted in the forum and I'm expecting a clarification from GGG or somebody else representing them, but we will see. I think whatever the case is, it's going to be for the better. We just need to get used to it, and that's that. The next point here is the Atlas Hover Info modifiers now categorized by source. So whenever you juice up your maps and you hover over them, you just get a plethora of written stuff and what's happening in the map. Now there's going to be categories. The corrupted area is giving these mods. The towers that you juiced up are giving these mods. So now we're going to know what modifiers come from what source. Pretty cool change here, another QOL. Then we've got performance, NPC, monster, physics optimized, which is going to improve CPU usage in crowded areas. Really good stuff. I need them. That's why I'm not skipping all of these. The performance is very, very important because I know that you guys, like myself, we have some complaints here and there with the server issues, laggy FPS and all that stuff. So I really want them to work a little bit harder on that point as well. And lastly, we've got the shop and cosmetics for anybody who cares. We're now going to have the equip now button added for all of your cosmetics and gear and stuff like effects and whatever you have, and a new slot for future character models for the skins as well is added. I think overall it's a pretty big patch coming in 0.2.1 with a lot of good changes. It's very obvious that they're working on the biggest problem that they currently have, which is the end game and how things play out and how satisfying it feels to do expeditions, breaches, rituals, stuff like that. And they're making everything more rewarding, but they're not overdoing it, which I absolutely love and respect so far. Pretty big patch. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Share in the comments down below. Do you prefer this change right here, the tier swapping and the reverting stuff? What do you think this means? Am I reading too into it? Which one do you prefer? Let me know what you think about the general patch that is coming. Once again, they just mentioned all of these things and they said that it's going to come either next week or the week after that. So pretty good stuff. Again, they're walking towards the right direction and I absolutely cannot wait to see what else they're going to be cooking. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.